You are viewing an on-demand version of a webinar that was broadcast live on February 29, 2012. In today's webinar, you will learn how support automation is changing the economics of technical support for large enterprise organizations and managed service providers who provide desktop outsourcing services. Our presenters today will be Bert Granchis and Rob Nault of PlumChoice. Bert is a support automation expert and will discuss how to enhance your existing IT service management processes with automation and will describe common use cases where support automation delivers immediate value. Rob will discuss where support automation is being adopted and will dive into a couple of relevant case studies. The material presented today in this webinar is available and can be obtained from the PlumChoice website. If you have any questions about this event or would like to contact PlumChoice directly, you can contact James Falk at jfolk@plumchoice.com. I would like to thank you for joining us today, and at this time I'll hand over the presentation to Bert.
Hey, thanks Rick for the introduction, and hello everyone. I'd like to thank you all for joining today to learn about support automation and the Tiffic product suite. My name is Bert Granchis, and I'm the support automation evangelist for Tiffic. I've been working in the support automation software space for about 8 years in both the consumer and enterprise service desks, with a major focus on automation. Today, Rob Nault and I would like to share our thoughts on software applications focusing on automated support that really can save you millions of dollars in terms of your cost to support your company. So in my years of working closely with customers, I've heard a variety of problems. We have a high level of recurring incidents, many of which are around incident firestorms caused by applications or server outages. And when your employees are calling in, to get the help that they need, you're usually hitting that level 1 agent, and they're going to start walking them through a maze of gathering computer information just to get the call started, right? And then it's also very difficult to support your employees, and frankly, it's just costly. And getting the right information out the door to fix a known issue generally requires some pretty specialized personnel. Your end result is you have high support costs, decreased employee productivity, and decreased employee satisfaction. So if I was to say, hey, we can lower the support costs by 10%, that's a pretty good number. 15% starts to look better. And when we get up, upwards in our maturity level with our support software, 40% is not necessarily something that's unachievable. That's actually a target goal that we have for our customer base. And that really is the value of Tiffic support automation. Our customers using the Tiffic support automation suite typically see these type of improvements throughout their organization. And for employees, support automation works in the background, resulting in true call avoidance, and in some cases as higher than 30%. Help desk sees the benefit as well with reduced call duration, average handle time, and improved resolution rates. These benefits don't really come with sacrifices. You're not having to blood, sweat, and tears to get them. They actually come with some really nice byproducts as well. Through self-healing and self-service, you're going to see increased productivity with your employees. And through assisted service products, we can help agents better serve your employees, get them off the phone faster. Net result there, lower cost, better customer satisfaction. So you might be thinking to yourself, hey, yeah, I've kind of heard the spiel before. So why is Tiffic support automation different than what you may be doing in-house today, or from some of the competitors? Well, like I said, we've been in the business for over 12 years with the singular goal of changing the traditional service model for the help desk. And what this means is that we're focused on automating support to reduce overall employee impact, especially around recurring incidents. For our products, it's really about empowering the employee, with automation and a more intelligent type of self-service model that truly allows your employees to solve their own problems in a streamlined and informed way. Getting them the right content at the right time with structured workflows and wizards, your employees can get themselves back on track more quickly and easily. And we also work really closely with our customers to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of the service desk agent. Providing the right information to your agents, just like your employees, allows them to put that script aside with the 10 annoying questions, what's your OS, what browser do you use, what's your IP, do you have an IP, and really leverage the tool set to provide a more proactive versus reactive service offering, allowing for a much more value-added support channel. And content, and this is something that we are constantly hearing from our customer base. You know, it's great that we have a easy to use tool to develop new content, but what do you have out of the box to get us up and running quickly? And you want a product that you can work quickly with, that's more about configuration versus reinventing the wheel each time you call the services team to get into an engagement. And Tific is really focused on creating an infrastructure from the ground up that allows not only the usage of our existing content library that has over 12,000 ready-to-use blocks, but also a groundbreaking graphical content creation environment that allows you to create and share content with each other, not just internally, but also externally with other customers, providing you greater overall value to the product. And then lastly, you got to be able to show the benefits of the labor. So how do you report on the impact that this new tool has in your business? Well, right out of the box, we integrate with existing ticketing systems like BMC Remedy, ITSM, for example. And what this does is by hooking into the ticketing system, it allows you to show value to our product leveraging existing reports. And we also, supplement that with our own analytics and reporting tool, Tific Discovery we'll talk about. And this allows for, out-of-the-box reports on usage, top problems, number of users on the system, etc. So, a lot of information readily available to you, accurate data that you can use to report on. So, how does all that good stuff translate into savings for your particular support center? So, let's talk about that. So, if we look at a very high level example, we can take a look at how the Tific Support Automation can affect an enterprise business. And what we're talking about here is a major hotel chain, has 3,500 properties, and they've implemented the Tific Support Automation Suite. Now, what these numbers are representing are call deflection, and call deflection alone. We're not taking into consideration any other benefits. And through call deflection, they're able to achieve $4 million in savings annually realized to the business. Now, that's a big number. And when you take into consideration that they're also able to impact other areas of support, such as average handle time, call escalations L1 to L2, they were capable of achieving, even more tangible savings, as well as the improvement in overall customer satisfaction. So that's a really compelling story. So how do you get to that $4 million number? Well, it takes time. There's you have to show maturity in your model. And but with that said, we have been in this business a long time, and while each company is unique, we typically see some very similar trends when it comes to the types of reoccurring problems within an enterprise business. So, when we look at a company, we always focus on the top 10 problem categories and if we're looking at a typical enterprise business, say between 20 to 40,000 incidents a month, this spread here is really what we tend to see. Client server applications, password reset, these tend to be the highest impacting in terms of problem categories, followed very closely by your outages and connectivity related issues. These are usually caused by incident firestorms when the email server goes down. And then also, we kind of round out the mix when we start to look at hardware for land-based devices like printers, and then general status of tickets or even how-tos for software, drive calls to your call center. And for sure, you're going to have your own set, and they may look similar to this. They may look a little bit different. But the good news is that through support automation, you really can have a dramatic impact on the top 10 list of employee annoyances. You know, 100% of these categories, you know, we can impact through automated support. And the great thing is you probably already have a lot of the processes in place to start having impact in terms of what types of problems do you need to be building content for? What kind of use cases should you be leveraging from the toolbox that we provide? You have a problem management process in some form or fashion that's kicking out a knowledge article to your self-service portal already. You extend that to where you bring that into support automation, to where once you have that known problem, there's an analysis for that root cause. You determine what that is. You can either leverage existing content that we have today or develop proprietary content for detecting that issue and then providing the remediation. And then that feeds right back into your reporting because it integrates into the ticketing system. So the interesting point here is that the model is in place. It's just a matter of extending that existing process. And you can begin to leverage support automation with the Tific product suite. Now, when we start to look at use cases for this and how does this really apply, let's start with an assisted service model. And with assisted service, what we're talking about is really a true definition of it, of an employee is having an issue with his or her PC, and they need to contact an agent at the service desk to resolve that problem. Now, that could be through many different channels. That could be through a chat channel, email, incident management portal, or more typically a phone call to the agent himself. So they call the help desk. The agent at that point, gathers some information from the employee initially, and then starts to walk them through the steps to triage that problem. Typically, they don't have any real information available about that end user, and so it takes a long time to actually just have the user go and collect that information. Or more typically, they may have a third-party tool set like a remote control where they can actually log in and navigate the end user system on their behalf, but that still takes time. And all this work, is performed so they can get that end user, that employee, back to that normalized state and back to being productive part of the business. So here's an actual walkthrough of how the Tific technician portal can have a real impact to that average handle time associated with an assisted service use case. So we have Bob. Bob's a great guy, and he's having a bit of a problem right now. He's in the process of trying to print a document that he needs to hand off to his boss by the end of the day, but unfortunately he's having problems connecting to the default printer. So, Bob's not a technical guy, so immediately what's he going to do? He's going to call the help desk. So Bob contacts the help desk and begins speaking with the service desk agent. Now the agent on his computer actually has access to the Tific technician portal and simply asking, what's your NT login ID? Bob can provide that to the agent. A quick lookup pulls up a dashboard of information readily available about Bob. So we know what kind of user Bob is, what Active Directory groups he may belong to. More importantly, in this case, we have basic information like make and model of the PC, the serial number of the PC, but we can also get down to more detailed information as well, all readily available to the agent. We're talking about installed applications, running processes, even information about connected devices, LAN-based devices like a printer, and then more importantly, latest changes to the PC as well. All this readily available, and the only question that the agent has to ask is what's your NT login ID? Now, the agent can simply look at the latest changes module, and this is an out-of-the-box module that takes looks at the differential data that we collect from the employee's PC, and then provides that information in a readily available way to the agent, so they can see that, hey, recently Bob has changed, for example, his default printer. Maybe Bob was in a different location, and as a result, now he's having problems connecting to his normal printer. So the agent, seeing that, can then leverage the assisted service automation capabilities of the technician portal and actually push down a fix to Bob's PC and reset the default printer to the correct device and get Bob up and running very, very quickly. You know, so in terms of the benefits that we see here, we've negated the need to ask, any information from Bob about his current system. Bob's explained what the problem is. He's provided us his NT login ID, and as an agent, we're able to readily jump into the triage process and reduce the overall handle time of that call. And then as an added bonus, every action in terms of pushing down a fix or interacting with that end user PC is recorded directly into the work log, so it streamlines the amount of time that they're actually having to take care of closing out that ticket as well. So a lot of good benefits to this. When we move into a self-healing type scenario, it's important to level set in our definition of self-healing. What we're really talking about is a true proactive, programmatic diagnosis of a known issue on the endpoint PC, and then ultimately fixing that problem using automation. The vast majority of what we refer to as self-heal happen in the background, and we detect the issue, validate that it's a real issue, apply remediation programmatically, get the end user's PC into that normalized state, and much of the time this can be done without the end user even knowing that there was a problem. Now, what does self-healing look like to an employee in your network? Well, we have Bob again, and Bob's gone home after his long day, but he realized that he's got a little bit more work to do, right? And so he opens up his laptop when he gets home, and he needs to connect to the corporate network, but right away he gets blasted with a pop-up, from the VPN application saying that the service is not available. These type of uninformative and negative type pop-ups that come from applications that we run into in the business and enterprise space, almost always drive a call. They're scary to the employee, and they don't know what's wrong, and they certainly, 9 times out of 10 don't know how to fix it. Well, in this case, with the Tiffic Enterprise Assistant running in the background, we can actually monitor the system for known issues just like this, and can identify that the problem's related to, specific service not being available on the PC. But the enterprise assistant's been designed to handle this problem, so it can pop up a notification to Bob with friendly language, customizable language, that can ultimately provide a level of clarity and instruction so that he can click on the message knowing that that's going to restart the application. And that's all been identified through your normal problem management processes. So clicking the notification would then restart the VPN application and get Bob up and running back into a normalized state, allow him to be productive, and he's happier because even though there was a problem, it was something that he was able to quickly address and get past so he can continue through his daily routine. Now, keep in mind that we didn't just fix the issue here. We also created that L0 closed ticket in the background integrated with your existing ticketing systems so that through your regular reporting needs, you can absolutely see the value of how many times this is happening in your network. Now, another key aspect here, another big benefit, is because Bob was able to get back up and running, Tiffic Enterprise Assistant was able to fix that issue. That call was deflected, and so no call came into the call center. Now last, let's talk about self-service. Now, traditional self-service models in the past have been primarily dealt with web portals. It incorporates a knowledge database that's typically stale, provides a large amount of information that's been gathered over years and years and years, and may have information that's not even relevant to their particular PC or the version of software that they're running. And then a lot of times, the content's not if it is there, it's kind of difficult to navigate. It's still very instruction based. They have to do some pretty technical things, even if they have access to do it on their PC, and so it can generate even more problems sometimes. So with a current customer, and just to kind of give you an example of what we're talking about there, we have a current customer that we're working with, and they have over 100 different types of forms that were specifically designed to help streamline the customer support experience. But the result was that the form questions were so technical to the employee that these forms ended up driving calls to the call center. And currently, they're experiencing about 40% of their monthly call volume as a result of these complicated forms. So from the TIFIC perspective, from our perspective, we're really looking to define what self-service means. And by incorporating automation, remember we have a client that's on the desktop. We can gather very discrete, detailed information about that end user and about their environment. We can detect the issues and then guide the employee to the right type of content, whether it's a wizard-based workflow or to write to a page on a how-to that has automation built into it so that they can more quickly and more likely resolve their own issues in a true self-service capacity. So to give you an idea what that looks like, we're going to go back to Bob one more time. It's been a really bad day for Bob. And right now he needs to get access to the company ticketing application. And so he's opened up his laptop. He's getting ready to open up Internet Explorer and go right towards the ticketing application. But instead of seeing his application, he gets a 404 error, server not found. Well, the TIFIC Enterprise Assistant, once it detects the launch of Internet Explorer, it can create a background task, and it monitors that program for errors. So, if it throws the 404 error, TIFIC client detects that occurs and then validates that the problem actually exists. So it's going to check Windows APIs to check the online state, for example. It may ping an external website like google.com or perform a variety of other validation checks before notifying Bob that there's a problem. Pops up a screen, a little notification, which opens up a screen to the network scan. And when we actually run the scan, turns out that Bob does have some blocking items. He's got a local host file that has some items that are incorrect, as well as his internet proxy isn't configured correctly. Now, he might have been home last night and had to access the internet from his house, so he turned off that proxy and he never really turned that back on. Well, these are quick and easy things that we can detect, and then with just a couple of clicks, get Bob right back up and running. And again, in this intelligent self-service model, we were able to detect an issue and then drive him to the correct wizard or flow so that he could see what the problem was. It's relevant to his system, and he's quickly and easily able to address it without having to follow a lot of technical steps, diving into his internet options and things of that nature. So we made it easy, got him the right content so he could fix the problem the first time. And again, we're creating that L0 ticket in the background after he's successfully gotten back online so that you can report on this information. And the benefit here, once again, call avoidance. Stop that call from coming into your call center. Now, all of the TIFIC products were, really designed to be, to work together, and we've talked about many of them today. With self-healing and assisted service, we have we have an enterprise assistant, which is the client that automatically detects and resolves Windows client-side computing problems through automated self-healing and intelligent self-service. And then we have the TIFIC Technician Portal, and this is designed to shorten the call duration of the service desk agent and improve problem resolution success rates. Additionally, we do have our Creator product, which is our graphical development environment that's really designed to simplify the development and maintenance of support content, including automated fixes as well as automated workflows, and then also lowering the support engineering costs and shortening the delivery time. Finally, we have TIFIC Discovery, which is our supplemental analytics and reporting tool that comes out of the box reports for usage and top problem data. Now, all these were designed to really impact the value and the maturity model that we've been working very diligent on to understand how best to implement support automation and self-service as well as assisted service into a support channel so that you can really gain the most value in terms of cost savings to the business. And we've looked at that from two different dimensions. One's call avoidance, and call avoidance is really about our self-healing and self-service models. So how can we reduce calls into the call center through automation and intelligent self-service, so automated workflows and wizards. These have extremely high customer satisfaction rates because you're able to get rid of the issue quickly. Employees are getting the benefit of automation because problems are getting fixed in the background, and then you get to see a high rate of return on these types of use cases. With assisted service, again, it's building on top of the different levels of types of support automation, but it's providing a different type of cost savings. We're talking about reduced costs of service based on a lower average handle time or an improved first call resolution rate. And there's really two steps to this, to the efficiency and the effectiveness of the service desk that we focus on, and that there's a phone aspect and a chat aspect. Obviously, you're going to have a higher rate of return on your investment if you can move to a chat. But to be honest, we see a hesitancy for chat in the enterprise space. It's really big in the consumer model, and we know that SMS is popular with enterprise. So understanding why chat hasn't really evolved really comes down to the amount of information that's required to really provide a solid level of support. And that's one of the advantages of the TIFIC Technician Portal, is that our dashboard interface can provide that needed information to the agent, regardless of whether they come in through a phone or a chat channel. And it allows them to start the triage process as soon as they take the chat or even the call. So, some key areas that we're focusing on, call avoidance, efficiency, and effectiveness, and then how that applies to end user behavior change really, dictates how you want to, deploy your self-service models. Now, you probably already have, assisted service phone in place, and you may have a chat solution in place, and most likely have self-service in place. But we tend to look at how to deploy for best practice by understanding how the end user behavior model changes. So when we look at self-healing, for example, large amount of ROI because it has such low end user behavior impact. So you can send out use cases to fix problems on the machine before those even before the employee even knows that there's a problem. They're getting addressed. So you can, and we're filing those tickets, so you can see that return, and you can continue to add to those use cases. So we see a high rate of return for self-healing there. On the assisted service side, we obviously you can have a greater effect on how your agents are behaving in your call center than you can your end users, right? You can enforce the usage of tool sets. So by providing them tools that streamline their calls that lower the average handle time, the improved first call resolution rates, and even the decreasing the amount of time it takes them to close out that ticket, and the impact change to the end user, you can see a very large gain in terms of your cost savings there. And then finally, self-service model. Again, highest level of end user impact. You're asking the end user to change their behavior. Clicking on an icon, opening up a client, performing a search possibly, at that level. So having that come in last after they've gained some familiarity with the tool really helps to show that level of maturity in terms of your service model, so that they've gained an introduction to the tool, they've grown with it, they understand it, and they can leverage the tool more effectively. So that really represents our, what we call a true mature support organization, is that they've walked through the steps and really gain that knowledge, or allow that employee to gain the knowledge so that they can be successful and really leverage the tool sets that they see. And that's something that, from a perspective of, TIFIC as a whole, and then the platform and products that we built on top of it, we've had a very, strong focus on. So now I want to turn it over to Rob Nault, and Rob's going to show us some more use cases and go into details on some business metrics around how support automation can benefit your business. So Rob, I'll go ahead and let you take it away. Thanks.
Thank you, Bert. This is Rob Nault. I'm going to spend the next few minutes giving you some background and a couple of user testimonials, and then wrap up this morning's webinar. The first example we'll go over today is the largest software company in the world, based in the Northwest of the United States. The organization primarily is a Windows 7 shop, but they currently have deployed in excess of about 10,000 Windows 8 users. Our product today is certified for Windows 7, and we're expecting to provide a Windows 8 version later this year. The organization is made up of about 140,000 end users, divided between those three different groups. The software contractors, the software engineers really don't use the service desk, so they're not really a primary call driver or user of the solution. So most of today's focus will focus on the administrative users and the contractors. The organization is a global. It basically has operations in almost every major part of the world. It only conducts business using English, so it doesn't really need multi-language kind of support. The service desk is manned by a third-party service provider, and it's currently staffed with about 400 L1 agents, and they're currently running around 90,000 incidents per month. Prior to engaging TIFIC, this organization spent probably 18 months or so really trying to analyze its call drivers and understanding what it can do to improve its overall organization efficiency. And what they found is that a very, very high percentage of their incidents are highly recurring. And what I mean by that is they just happen month in and month out. And the business impact is really, quite severe. And so they defined 4 drivers that they were going to look at to improve their overall efficiency. The first one is how do we move from a reactive to a proactive service desk? And what they mean there is that if they know a user's having a problem, is there something they can do to notify the user, either through a toaster or a pop-up, but proactively engage the user with or without involvement to resolve a problem? Those 90,000 incidents per month, when you look at how much time an end user spends on trying to resolve a problem on his own, or talking to a service desk, or interacting with an associate, they believe that they're losing roughly around 540 man-years of productivity. And the last two really deal with end user satisfaction, and the last one is can we deploy some kind of solution that would deflect upwards of 40% of the call volume, or 36,000 calls a month. So those were the primary call drivers of setup of this account. The organization, like I said, spent about 18 months evaluating technology in the marketplace. We participated in a 6-month validation event, competitive bake-off, and the result of that is that our solution was selected. This organization does all its own implementation. It does its own engineering. We provided basic training on the platform and the technology, but the organization has basically built all its own automations since day one. They went live in July of 2011, and these are a few examples of the automations that they've been able to build. The current library exceeds probably 30 different kinds of automations, covering a wide range of categories. But here are a couple different examples. The one that's easiest or that's most compelling to me is because I'm a user, and at times over the last 20 years, my machine has failed, either because of a hard disk failure or a memory problem. And what that's resulted for me is that I'm not able to do my job for a number of days, basically until that device is repaired. They developed some automations to detect and recognize when computer failures are going to occur. They basically watch certain kinds of logs within the OS, and they're able to recognize when a failure is about to occur, and they provision a device on behalf of the user. And the basic benefit is the user is notified that there's a problem with this machine, and the machine shows up in the next couple of days, and they're able to basically swap out their old machine for a new machine. But these are the kinds of examples. Outlook is basically they have users that have terabytes of information of data stored in Outlook, and at times the system gets corrupted, and they're able to basically automatically detect when that's occurring and invoke certain kinds of changes on behalf of the user, and the user doesn't even really realize that a problem has occurred. The business benefits after 6 months is they've been able to deflect a little bit over 13% of the calls or incidents that occur on the devices that are deployed, and they're currently in the process of measuring both end user satisfaction and productivity improvements. This organization does a survey to their entire organization twice a year, and there's a survey out that went out in February, and they're currently tabulating and collecting the information, and they'll publish the overall results here in the April timeframe. The next organization is a global manufacturing. It's based in Sweden. It's an organization of about 23,000 employees that operates in over 18 countries around the world. They provide support in approximately 8 different languages. And they currently are moving from XP to Windows 7, and they currently have around 45 agents at the current 3 service desks. The business drivers for this organization is they were moving from 8 different desks to 3. They were very interested in focusing on improving the desk efficiency and deflecting calls, but they didn't want any of the business case to be dependent on changing end user behavior. And a number of users around the world have tried to deploy self-service kind of offerings, and generally to derive any benefit from that, they have to force the end user to change its behavior. This account basically would not take any of those kinds of risks, so their business case was purely through automation without any kind of end user involvement. As it relates to the desk, they're looking to deflect 15% of the calls. And as it relates to desk efficiency, it's reduced average handle time by 10% and improved first call resolution by 10%. This account went into production in January of 2011. The first deployment was delivered by Tific. We built both an end user component as well as a service desk offering around our support analyst console. They have a range of support automations that are focused on self-healing. These are a couple different examples. System performance, system tune-up, desktop compliance kind of capabilities. They were very concerned, or they had a number of historical problems where users, for whatever reason, had deinstalled or turned off certain kinds of IT solutions that were deployed on the standard desktop. The business benefits after 1 year, call deflection is approximately 12%, and reduction of average handle time is 7%. and an improvement of resolution. First call resolution is 5%. They began doing all their own development and maintenance of this environment in the July timeframe. And for this deployment, they have roughly one full-time person building and maintaining content. I must say that the software company that I talked about a few minutes ago, they have 3 full-time people that are building and maintaining those automations for them. This is an example of the kinds of accounts that we have in production. They range from high-tech kind of organizations all the way to financial services, people like Zurich and Handelsbanken. But this technology has been in production around the world for over 10 years. At this point in time, we have well over 70 million end users that are deployed. It's a fairly mature and stable kind of environment. We're currently working on porting this platform or this capability to new operating systems. We've announced the delivery of Mac and iPad capabilities for 2012, and we'll be looking to deliver Android support in early 2013. As everyone knows that the typical Windows environment is changing in the enterprise, and certain kinds of industry reports have indicated that the adoption of non-Windows environments will grow. And I think that our platform will be in a position to support those as the IT environment changes over the next couple of years. This is a summary of the key business drivers that organizations really look to TIFIC in terms of providing business benefit to their organization. We've talked about different kinds of self-healing and self-service. We refer to those as L0 kind of capabilities where automation is delivered to the end user, and it's really focused on deflecting incidents before they get to the service desk. L1 is really focused on, improving the service desk efficiency, and the last one is really around, how do you improve overall CSAT for the organization. Over the last 2 weeks, we completed a validation with a large telecom in Canada. When we began that validation event, we had pretty rigorous kinds of objectives. It's a fairly mature organization. It has a service desk of about 200 agents. The tenure is well over 3 years, so it's a pretty mature organization. They take about 30,000 incidents per month or 30,000 contacts per month, and the average handle time is right around 8 minutes. So it's, we were surprised when we went through the validation. We focused on their top 20 incident types. We were able to deliver about 40% of those, about 12 of those incident types over the 3 or 4 day validation event. And based on our capability and ability to demonstrate, we were able to deflect in excess of 30% of all their incidents, and we were able to improve resolution rates by over 15%, and we were able to improve average handle time by over 30%. So they actually did time studies of those 12 incident types that I mentioned, collected before and after kind of stats, and really were able to measure hard savings between doing it the traditional way of supporting incidents and then also using support automation. I'd like to end this morning's webinar with this last slide that gives you a little bit of insight about TIFIC's parent organization, PlumChoice. TIFIC was acquired by PlumChoice a little bit over a year ago. PlumChoice is based out of outside the Boston area. I'm sure that not many people on the phone have heard of them, but they are the leading supplier of premium technical support in North America. So when you acquire premium support from people like HP or AT&T or Verizon, Cox Communications, Verizon Wireless, a whole range of companies that they market through, you really are getting support from PlumChoice. They are the leading supplier of these services here in North America. They've been in business just like TIFIC a little over 10 years, and they're looking to use our technology within their core offering that exceeds a little bit over 2 million users to really improve the service level they deliver to their customers and trying to automate more service kinds of capabilities in their offerings. Bert and I would like to thank you for today's participation in the webinar. That you should be able to find a whole range of information regarding our enterprise offering on the TIFIC website. this webinar will be posted there as well as a copy of the actual presentation. Thank you for your time today.